Welcome to the Whitwam Wealth Real Estate Podcast. Today's episode is Construction CUES.
Welcome to the Whitwam Wealth Real Estate Podcast with Scott Whitwam, your blueprint to financial abundance. Settle in as we explore the mindset and methods for wealth building through real estate.
Welcome back. I'm Scott Whitwam, and today I'll be talking about construction CUES for investors. There are different levels of construction, and today I want to talk about marketable sale property construction, or what we typically call flips. Far be it for me to tell you how to run your business, but let's talk about some of the little things. And when I'm talking about some of the little things, my first point would be fix the little things. I also own a real estate brokerage and work a lot on referral. So if somebody, is a client that is a friend or a relative or something, then I'll take them out and show them houses. And it never ceases to amaze me when my clients pick some really nice houses to go take a look at. And we go out and we get into these houses that have been fully remodeled. I mean, that's what it says in the description of the MLS, fully remodeled, move-in ready. And we get inside the houses, and all of these little things have been left undone. All the big things are done well. Got new kitchen cabinets, got new countertops, it's got new tile floors or new carpet floors or new LVP, and we got the paint's all good. And all of these little things, and it doesn't matter the price point. Here, about 60 days ago, I took some clients out looking at stuff north of the $1 million mark. And I was amazed when we walked into this one house, and the clients really liked it. They were wowed by, the new cabinets that went, with the tall ceilings, and the cabinets went all the way to the ceilings. You almost need a ladder to get into them. And, the paint job was really good. The multi-tone, multicolor paint in there was really well done. And so the person had a really good eye for, design. So there was a lot of really good things, and it really had a wow factor to my client when they walked in to the property. And as we toured the property and they were talking about some of these things, I said, hey, time out. I want to show you some things that I know that you're kind of not looking at right now, because they were so wowed with the big scope of this. But then we went back and looked at the quality things that this investor didn't do. The investor didn't replace light switches. And so when you looked, the edges of the light switches were discolored. It's a little thing, but little things become big things. There were also some hardware that they could have changed on some of the doors and really, finished the property off to make this thing a wow property. But I started showing him this thing, and I showed him areas where the caulk detail just to seal baseboards and door jambs and windows and stuff was done very poorly. And so my concern was, and here's what I told my client. I said, here's my concern. If these little things have been overlooked, if these little things have not been addressed, what other things did they do on the cheap? You're seeing the facade, you're seeing the outside of it. It looks really good. But when people overlook the little things, it gives me great concern about the other little things that have been forgotten. What did they cover up instead of fixing? I remember this was several years ago. I took some investor clients to a property in downtown, and it was another one of those properties that they had done a complete remodel on. And we got into the property, and it looked really nice. I mean, they did a good job on the flooring. The home was painted. This was a little bit older property, and had done a really good job of the things that you could easily see. And they were looking at buying this as a rental property. They liked the downtown location. The numbers worked on this property. But then again, I started to notice the little things, the things that weren't done. And maybe it's because I'm a contractor, but I think these are really important when you're flipping. That if you're doing the work yourself, that you don't overlook these things. If you're hiring somebody to do it, you make sure that they get on the list, because some of these things can be done very quickly when you're having other things done. For instance, when the painter's in and he's got all of the covers off all of the outlets, that's a perfect time to have somebody go in and switch out switches and outlets. It doesn't take that long. They're very inexpensive relative to most projects. But on this property in downtown, went and looked, and I started noticing some things that didn't look right. And what we ended up finding in the property on a second visit. Now, we didn't find this in the first visit. So at the first visit, I noticed some things. I showed it to them. They were real comfortable with it. So we wrote a contract, got under contract. And during the inspection period, I went down and I met them along with their home inspector. And I actually pointed out some things. And the home inspector started checking, and he goes, look, I'm really concerned about this. We started to find some soft areas that should be solid, that had new drywall on it, but hadn't been sealed properly. It hadn't been finished. The caulk wasn't right. There were some things. Well, what we ended up finding out is when this investor went in, there was termite damage, there was rotten wood, and a lot of the repairs they did, they just covered it up. But what revealed it was the fact that they didn't fix all of the other little things. And so it got us looking closer. And the buyer ended up requesting that all of the work, all of the work that had been done in the bathroom, all the work behind the tubs and showers, all be repaired. And in this case, the investor agreed to go in and do it, because they would have been liable had we closed on this thing and had been found later, because in Arizona, at least where we're at, may not be in every state, these would have been considered latent defects, things that the seller knew and covered up and should have disclosed to the buyer. Why don't I just fix them right? And so that gets to my next point, quality versus cost. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there that are in the flipping business, whether you're house hacking or whether you're just pure flipping, that you're just looking for cost. It's all about the numbers. How cheap can I do this and still get it off of my books? And, you can do that. There's some properties that periodically they come up, and if I know somebody has done the work on it, I'll advise my clients, look, I know how these guys flip houses. They're cheap. They cover things up. They basically put lipstick on every pig they buy, and they just make it look as good as they can so it's shiny and bright for you, but you're going to find issues in this thing. So if you are going to move forward with this, you certainly are going to want to cue your home inspector to take some additional looks into areas that are potential concern. I don't have that with some of the quality investors in our marketplace that they're buying, they're fixing, and they're selling these homes because they have chosen quality. So as an investor, you can choose either. You can choose to be cost conscious, cheap, just put lipstick on a pig, get them done as cheap as you can, sell them, and then hope nobody sues you for covering something up or not doing something properly. Or you can do quality work. And when I started our flipping division years and years ago, one of the things that we said is that we were going to do quality work. And so what I look at it is a little bit different. So when we're putting the projects together, the cost to do a project, or even before acquisition, we're looking at what the cost would be to do this project. I'm looking at if the whole world went crazy and I had to move into this house and live in this house, would this be a house that I would not mind having my wife live in? And so we look at trying to build quality to a higher standard so that when somebody buys one of our houses, that they know that they're getting a quality product. And there are many other investors in my marketplace that I know that if it's a house that if it's a house that they have, if it's a house that they've worked on, if it's a house their crew has done, it's going to be quality. Now, quality typically costs a little bit more money. So you either have to buy a little bit better than other investors, or you have to be able to sell for a little bit more than other investors, or you make a little bit smaller margin than other investors, all of which we have built into our plan for flip investing is we obviously we do something that that not all investors do. We actually go in and give most sellers options. We say, hey, look, if you want to fix this thing up, sell this yourself, fully remodeled, fully redone, this is the amount of money you can get for it, and you can hire our construction company. We'll come in, we'll do all the work for you. Here's how much it'll cost to do it. Or you can sell us the house, and we'll come in, take all the risk, remodel it, and we'll sell it. And and you'll have a fixed amount of money, going into this thing. We'll basically purchase the property from you, and we'll take all the risk. So we show that to the people we're buying houses from, and sometimes we do. We go, look, the house across the street sold for $300,000. But in order to do your house, we will have to buy it for $270,000, and here's why. And we show them. We go, you've neglected this, you didn't do that. And so even though a house may have sold to another investor across the street for a little bit more, we'll make our pitch as to why it's the right thing to do to sell us maybe for a little bit less. And we're just very open to our clients that way. So when we buy a property, we try to get it at a better price. Now, sometimes we can work those out. Other times we just have to say, hey, we're going to bite the bullet. We can't get it for 30 less. And is there 30 on the other side? Maybe, we don't add an additional bathroom to this property. Maybe, we keep it the same basic structure that it is. Maybe we don't add a fourth bedroom. We leave it as a 3-bedroom. We have to make all those decisions, but we make all those decisions in the environment of quality versus cost. And like I said, there's other investors who choose the cost route, but I can tell you this, that real estate agents like me see the poor work that you're doing when you get too cost conscious that you don't fix the little things. My third point here is that when you are doing these, it's important to select the right contractor. Not every contractor is suited for doing a flip property. For instance, my company in certain areas will tell you right off the bat, no, we're not the guy to do this. We can't come in at a number that you need in order to make a profit. There's a lot of contractors out there that won't tell you that, but they will try to get their foot in the door, and then as you're going, they'll continue to hit you with change orders or force you to make the decision to not do quality work. And so it may take you, if you're new at this, if you're new at real estate investing and working with contractors, it may take a couple of jobs to learn who your good contractors are and aren't. But if you select a contractor that has been doing properties for other investors, they know how the system works. They have the process in place. They know the quality of items to use in a project. They're going to be buying shower valves for $60 and not shower valves for $600. They're going to be buying drywall from a wholesaler if you're doing a whole house versus buying it at a retailer. All those type of things. So it takes a little bit of time sometimes, but if you've been doing this for a while and you're not happy, if you think your contractor's squeezing you, I always recommend people go out and see if you can get another contractor to do comparable bids too, because they may be sourcing product from different locations. I know that when we do our whole homes, we don't buy our insulation from Home Depot or Lowe's, or our drywall from Home Depot or Lowe's, or any our lumber from Home Depot or Lowe's. We're out buying that from the wholesalers. And it makes a big difference, allows us to do better pricing. And so you need to work with the right contractor who has access to those things, who doesn't have volume that they can buy from some of the larger wholesalers and get you to the point where you want to be. My fourth point is should you be doing this yourself or with subs? Well, in real estate investing, if you want this to be a business, you're going to need to learn how to work with subs. Now, if you're a contractor and you do this, your business is you're a contractor and you're buying houses and you're flipping them and you're using your crews, that's a totally different thing. But a lot of times I get investors who are doing a couple flips a year, 3 flips, 4 flips a year, and they come and they go, well, what would be a better way of doing this? This takes me a lot of time, and they've got to make the decision whether they want to work on these themselves or hire subcontractors. And interviewing and finding subcontractors is a really good way to go. But my recommendation is to go to your investing groups that that most of us investors are involved in. Go to the investing group and find other investors who are using subcontractors and try to get some leads and referral numbers from them. Who can do block? Who can do concrete? Who's your drywall guy? Who's your electrician? Who's your plumber? And then sub out the things that you're slow at or not real good at, and keep doing the things that you're real good at and doing yourself until you can transition all of that off. I mean, I think that's a great way of transitioning. Once you get full bore into the business, either you're going to start your own contracting division, or you're going to have a good subcontractor that you work with, or two that you work with that can do your projects. And you may be both. You know, I don't spend all day every day out working on our flips. I don't spend them on our construction crews. I don't spend them because I'm doing other things. I'm running the business instead of working in the business. I'm working on the business. And at some point, as real estate investors, we need to learn how to transition. You may start off doing stuff yourself, but when you can transition and find good subs that can do the work, a lot of times you'll find that you're saving, first off, a lot of time, so you can go work on higher value items. But you'll also potentially save money on tasks because it won't have to be done twice. You get a good sub and you've never done something before. You're watching a YouTube video trying to figure out how to do it, and you can subcontract it. They do it once, you pay once, and you're done. So, my kind of in conclusion with this, I think it's important that as real estate investors that we look at this industry a little bit different. For me, this is not just about making money. I mean, obviously I'm in this to make money, but I also want to make our communities better. I don't want people who are, buying my homes to get in with everything they have for a down payment, get financed, get their first home, and then find out they've got a $20,000 or $30,000 problem in the house that we could have fixed easily when we're doing our project. So we lean towards quality versus cost. It keeps us out of court. I know a lot of investors who have been sued for, doing unlicensed work, doing things poorly, not living up to the requirements and expectations. So there's a lot of things. And again, I think quality surpasses, non-quality or low quality work over time. And then, I sleep good at night. I know that the product that we produce, that people are going to like, that we didn't hide anything from them, we didn't cover anything up, we did it right, and we hire subcontractors when it benefits us. I mean, we got a full on construction company. We can pretty much do anything in the residential and commercial industries, and yet we hire a lot of subcontractors for paint, flooring, concrete, block, and things that we can do ourselves. But we find sometimes that subs can do it quicker and more efficiently and cheaper for us. So we hire them, and then we supervise and evaluate their work. These are just some of the things I wanted to talk about today under contractor CUES. These are little points that you can utilize, hopefully to make your real estate flipping investing business much better, help to scale it, help to get you to the next level, be profitable, and build quality. I want to thank you for joining me on this episode of the Whitwam Wealth Real Estate Podcast. Be sure to check out our growing list of previous episodes and other real estate topics. I invite you to subscribe today and be part of our growing community. You can always find the Whitwam Wealth Real Estate Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you enjoy listening to podcasts. This is Scott Whitwam. Be sure to join me on our next episode of the Whitwam Wealth Real Estate Podcast, where we're wealth building through real estate.